This video is brought to you by channel partner 4 years running, Squarespace. Stick around to learn more about them, as well as a special offer they're making available through my channel. Alright, we're going to do this one a little different. Yes, I played around 3.5 hours of Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. That is a very small amount of time to play through something as gargantuan as this expansion is likely to be. That allowed me to explore some of the overworld, meet some of the NPCs, explore 2 major dungeon-style locations, and fight 2 bosses. I got to experience the new progression system and try out some new weapons, including the martial arts weapon type with that flying bicycle kick we saw in the reveal trailer. So I'm going to tell you all about that, but I'm also just going to let this footage speak for itself. I'm playing some trailer footage now, but later on I'll show you new stuff, and the footage that you'll see here is not my own recorded footage, it's B-roll provided by Bandai Namco. When I received it, I just sat there watching it and I was like, well, that's the video right there. Me talking about my own experience isn't nearly as interesting as letting the footage speak for me, so I will say a few things throughout this video, but the focus is very much on show, don't tell. So with that, here we go. The Shadow of the Erdtree expansion is set in the Land of Shadow. It's separate from the Lands Between, appearing as a sort of inversion with a withered Erdtree at its center. To access it, you must first defeat both Starscourge Radahn and Mog, Lord of Blood. In Mog's palace is a cocoon with an arm dangling outside it. Touch the arm and you are instantly transported to this Land of Shadow. Here's what it's like to arrive there. The characters we played on during this build were level 120. The person hosting our preview session made clear that there is no minimum required level to enter the Shadowlands, nor is there any recommended level. However, at level 120, I found balancing to be very comfortable. I had enough health and mitigation, and I dealt enough damage such that it felt like I belonged in the Shadowlands at that level. Toward the end of this footage, you'll see a small town in the distance. This is populated by nothing more than a few shadow commoners, low threat, low HP enemies. It also has some basic exploration and platforming challenges. My sense is that this area is a sort of mini tutorial, giving you the chance to reacquaint yourself with the controls as you re-enter this world. Just beyond the introductory town lies the first open world boss, a giant metal walking flame cage. I did try to fight him, but it didn't go very well. He would basically two-shot me, and my attacks did practically no damage, so I wonder if it's intended that I fight him after I've grown stronger in the Shadowlands. The Shadowlands does have its own progression system. Here you still collect runes, but you'll also collect 2 other objects that can be used at Sites of Grace. One of these objects gives you an increase to your damage dealt and your survivability whilst in the Shadowlands. The other does the same to your Spirit Ashes, the summons you can equip and conjure forth in certain areas, mainly boss rooms. The availability of these upgrade items is limited, feeling similar to high-level crafting components. You will find them tucked away in the corners of dungeons, rewarding more adventurous exploration. You'll also find them after major or minor boss encounters. It's unclear how much bonus power they offer, but I'm sure the community will determine that after more rigorous testing can be done. At this point, it's impossible for me to be able to guess how big the Shadowlands are or how big this expansion will be. The person leading our preview did tell us that this was the largest expansion that FromSoft have ever released, and given the amount of time that FromSoft have been working on this DLC, I have no trouble believing that. They did confirm, however, that Shadow of the Erdtree contains 10 major story bosses, not including smaller sub-bosses. I knocked over one major boss and fought another, and that alone took me 3.5 hours. I'll also make clear that much of the footage that you're seeing here, I was seeing for the first time as well, as 3.5 hours let me see precious little of the Shadowlands. The Shadow of the Erdtree expansion is the tale of the Tarnished following Miquella into the Shadowlands. Miquella has abandoned his flesh and awaits someone or something in this strange place. It may be the Tarnished, or it may be something else. In thrall to Miquella are a number of NPCs who have followed him into the Shadow Realm, and as you journey forth, you'll meet many of them.
Fie, another, treading the heels of Miquella. Then, as that woman would surely say, we are in our purposes well aligned, but understand, your kind are not forgiven. The Erdtree is my people's enemy, by Marika long betrayed, set aflame. I believe Miquella's apologies when he says our delivery will come, but never will I see your kind as worthy.
For the purposes of this preview, we were guided towards two marquee locations. The first was this, a ruined palace. The other I didn't have any footage of, but it was another Magic Academy style area, similar to Raya Lucaria, populated with the same masked sorcerers you face in the Academy proper. This ruined palace here, though, has a brief indoor section populated by giant scorpions and their smaller brood, before eventually leading into an open-air interior. Just then, you would have seen the martial arts weapon type, which looks like cloth wraps, as well as the Ashes of War bicycle kick. The presenter at our preview did imply that this was a more demanding weapon type, and that it would take some getting used to. He suggested that if we wanted to make quick progress in our preview session, we should look to other weapons that we're more familiar with. Still, I did try these wraps and found them to be fairly intuitive to use, though the damage output did feel low. I'm unsure if this was because I wasn't properly built to make use of them, or if they're balanced to be less effective than having an actual weapon in your hand. Either way, there's a really alluring fantasy that Erdtree promises, one of the lone martial arts warrior journeying the lands between and the Shadowlands on their quest to become the Elden Lord. Speaking of weapons, the expansion delivers 8 new weapon types: great katanas, hand-to-hand, throwing weapons, thrusting shields, and reverse hand swords. Those 5 were earlier revealed, but this new gameplay revealed 3 more. The first is the light greatsword, which you saw earlier in the video. The second are perfume bottles, which you'll soon see, and here's a look at the final new weapon type, Beast Claws. This ruined palace I explored felt very similar to any number of destinations I had earlier explored in the Lands Between. There was much of this experience that felt very familiar. This is, after all, an expansion. But the feeling of stepping back into this world, preparing for another journey, was just so exciting, because no one builds worlds or delivers experiences quite like FromSoft does. It's always been that way, and Erdtree feels familiar and comfortable, not in a pejorative sense, but in the sense that the master craftsmanship that defines the rest of the Elden Ring experience can be felt here too. The first major boss that I fought was revealed in the earlier trailers. It was the Dancing Dragon. He's actually not a dragon, but a dancing dragon, a costume worn by someone or some things. You can tell from the arm that controls the jawline and from the humanoid legs and feet sticking out. He is the final boss of this ruined palace area, and he is no joke. This boss actually has 4 phases. There's a neutral phase focused on melee attacks that ends after you drop about a third of his health. After that point, he'll start to cycle through 3 possible states. Lightning, which you saw here, as well as air and ice. The lightning phase is by far the most deadly, as he'll electrify huge sections of the area, making it difficult to maneuver. His air phase will see him barrel rolling across the entire arena, while also throwing out giant tornadoes towards you, while his ice phase sees him regularly deploy area-wide stomps that inflict huge amounts of frostbite. Playing as a melee character, I found him very challenging for how quickly he would reposition and how difficult it was to pass his melee attacks. I played alongside Edmund, who used a caster build for this encounter, and he had a significantly easier time. The other boss in that Magic Academy style area was one I don't have footage of here. It was an armored knight named Twin Moon Knight Rolana. She was quick, precise in her movements, and had some devastating combos. She could also cast Glint Blade Phalanx, as well as a more powerful version of Adula's Moonblade. In her later phases, she was able to engulf huge sections of the area in flame or magic with her weapon swings. It was a less epic encounter than the Dancing Dragon, but one I enjoyed more for how controlled and deliberate it felt. Part of me wishes I had more to share with you in this video, but part of me is glad that I don't. Elden Ring is a very special game, and FromSoft have put more work into this expansion than they have any other expansion before. Soon we'll all get to experience this, and while it's nice to get a taste of what's to come, the less we know, the better. For now, just make sure you've got Radahn and Bloodlord Mog down, refamiliarize yourself with the controls, and you should be all ready to go for when Shadow of the Erdtree launches on June 21st. Miyazaki and his team haven't let us down before. I don't expect they're about to start now. One question I often get is how to break into the world of content creation. There's a lot of ways to do it: streaming, community building, YouTube, games media, many ways to cut your teeth. Obviously, my stuff eventually ends up on YouTube, but what if YouTube wasn't the right fit for you? What if you wanted to build your own independent gaming outlet or blog, allowing you to talk about games how you like, building a portfolio of work as you did so that you could one day leverage into different opportunities? Well, if you're just starting out, then could I suggest Squarespace? Squarespace lets you build professional-looking websites in minutes. You just select from their extensive list of pre-built templates, customize those templates to your desire, and boom, you are in business. It really is that easy. Squarespace's intuitive tools and huge library of templates make it super easy to get started. If you can handle formatting a Word document or a PowerPoint slide, then you are already well and truly equipped to make a fantastic looking website through Squarespace. Once it's live and your content starts going up, Squarespace has all sorts of back-end tools to help you track and grow your site. Detailed analytics tools showcase what your audience is clicking on, and SEO tools and social media integration make it easier for your audience to find you. It's a simple end-to-end solution that could be the start of your content creation journey if the written word is what interests you. If it is and you want to get started, then visit squarespace.com to start building your website through their free trial. And if you want to get serious, then use offer code SKILLUP for 10% off your purchase of a domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.